Good evening and welcome to the Ross Rundown. I'm your host, Matt Errolson. Alongside with me for the ride, Jeremy McKenzie, Brand Fall. So, guys, it's the Rundown. Let's jump right to it. Let's start the clock. So, we're going to talk first about the NFL and about the divisional round. So, let's start with the Chiefs' butt whipping of the Indianapolis Colts, 31-13. So, real quick, let's start with you, Jeremy, because we haven't talked to you in a little while. What's your thoughts on this game?
Well, it was a scenario where I had the Colts winning this game, but it seems like Patrick Mahomes
Really?
can't. Yeah, I did because underdog pretty much because everything Andrew Luck went through and where he was red streak hot coming down through this season and got in the playoffs and did pretty well. But but the thing about it, like Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs was a better team.
Yeah.
It's the only game I got right.
Was it?
The only one of the four I got right. And Patrick Mahomes had just really showed
Yes.
out in a big game. I was so happy for him and happy for Andy Reid. I would have never said that when he was in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
But I was happy for him to get. That's a big win.
Yes.
And they looked awesome.
Yes, they did. I hadn't even thought about it, but I guess I was 3 for 4 out of my picks, whatever that's worth. Which, if you look back at my history, that's really good for me. So, but yeah, Andrew Luck was 19 of 36 for 203 yards, 1 touchdown. Actually lost a fumble, and I don't know that fumble loss would have made the difference or not. But 203 yards and a touchdown. That's not really blowing it up by any means, is it?
Nope.
Is that the Chiefs' D? You think?
Well, you take with Chris Jones, D Ford, and Justin Houston. They stepped up big time, but even when they go to New England next week, the secondary got to step up.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that here in just a minute. T.Y. Hilton, though, really good wide receiver for Andrew Luck. He only had 4 receptions. Now he got 60 yards and a touchdown out of that, but it just seems to me like Andrew Luck probably should have thrown it more.
Yes.
Now he did throw it 36 times, but only connected on 19 of those.
Yeah.
So not quite sure if it's coverage or what there, but
And I think I heard that T.Y. Hilton was hurt.
Could have been.
And playing through an injury. Because he's just, been a phenomenal receiver for a long time for Luck, and he did not have a good game.
on the other side of the coin, Patrick Mahomes was 27 of 41, 278 yards. Good, not great.
Okay.
No touchdowns, no picks, but no touchdowns. And they were still able to put up 31 points. The main reason being their running game.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Damian Williams, who I'll be quite honest with you, fellas, I'd never even heard of before this
Came
game.
out of the blue.
No.
25 carries, 129 yards, and a touchdown. And they actually had 4 different rushers score a touchdown. So
That first touchdown run he had was just a 10-yard run, but I was watching with my son. I said, my son stepped out. I said, come back and watch this. It's one of the best 10-yard runs you'll ever see. He stopped dead in traffic, slid to the right, moved again, stopped again, and then scored. And
Was able to make that cut.
Yeah, it was just beautiful to watch. I mean, no drop off from Hunt.
exactly, and that's what I was going to say. You know, Kareem Hunt was the really good running back there. Of course, we all know what happened with him. Chiefs didn't skip a beat, though, did
no,
they?
man. I mean,
Another really good player for the Chiefs, Travis Kelce. No scores, but still had 7 receptions, 108 yards. So seems like the Chiefs' offense is doing just fine.
Yeah.
Seems like the defense was able to hold up against Indianapolis. Of course, they're going to be moving on to play the Patriots at home. We'll get to that here in just a second. So let's start the clock over. Let's talk about your Cowboys, Bram.
oh, my God.
30
Yeah,
to
that's all right.
22, the LA Rams were able to get that victory. And let me read off the Cowboys stats here real quick for you,
Okay.
then I want to get your opinion
All right.
first. Dak Prescott, 20 of 32, 266 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay.
Here's the stat that I think is the reason why you guys lost. Ezekiel Elliott, 20 carries, 47 yards. What do you think?
I think that the Rams came in this game and they said Ezekiel Elliott is not going to beat us. Somebody else better. And Dallas failed to get it done. Now they made a nice comeback in that game in the second half. I was
did.
very disgusted that they showed a lot of heart and showed a lot of promise for the future. I know I'm a Cowboys homer, but the way they got down and got punched in the mouth, that Dallas needed to do something, beat you with somebody. And a great evidence of the Rams' philosophy in that game was going into the first play of the fourth quarter. Jason Garrett, who I criticize constantly, and I begged for him to be fired, probably coached the game of his life, except for 2 plays. One was the fourth. He went for it on 2 fourth downs. Got it.
Yes.
This fourth down at the start of the fourth quarter, they ran the ball up the middle on a 4th and a little bit more than a yard. And the Chiefs were all over it.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rams were all over it, excuse me. And you needed a different play call. Now that's more Linehan than it is Garrett. But that was the evidence of what the Rams' philosophy was. We're going to make somebody beat us other than Elliott, and the Cowboys just failed to step up to the plate.
And talking about Prescott being able to spread it out, Michael Gallup, 6 receptions, 119 yards. Amari Cooper, though, in my opinion, was one of the best pickups of any team this season.
Yeah.
6 receptions, 65 yards, 1 touchdown. He also had a fumble, so not a exorbitant game. But let's talk about Jason Garrett here for a second, because you're not a Cowboys fan.
No.
By any means. But Garrett's been there for how long now, Brand? 6, 7, 8 years?
I think this was his 9th year he just finished.
Really?
8th or 9th year he just finished.
Yeah,
He took our mid-season for Wade Phillips.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe 8.5, maybe his 8th full season.
Yeah.
So I was actually watching this game with one of my buddies who's, like you, a diehard Cowboys fan, and he said the same thing. Garrett should have been fired before now. What do you think, Jeremy? Should he give up that position?
I think there's going to be a scenario where, like I said, Jason Garrett should have been gone a couple of years ago after, no playoff victories and whatnot have you. And I think there's going to be where Jerry Jones going to have to talk with Jason Garrett, see what he's going to do. But I think give him another year to redeem himself. If he don't perform that standard that the Cowboys have, kick him out the door.
Now, I'm not sure what his contract status is. Do you happen to know?
It either ran. I think it runs up next year, but ironically, right after the playoff win they got, they're talking about extending Garrett.
Yeah, they are.
And
Lord
2
have mercy.
playoff wins in 9 years gets you an extension. So I'm
That gets a lot of guys fired.
I'm available,
Yeah.
Jerry.
Me too, for that matter. Why not?
I'll do it for half the money.
I'll do it for half the money. I'll do it for a third. Your turn. We're going to negotiate here.
So Garrett, I criticize him roundly, but where I will say he did a good job this year.
Yeah, he did.
When they were 3-5,
Yes.
a lot of teams would have been playing for a lottery pick.
I wrote him
Yeah.
off.
And
I wrote him off, too.
He rallied them. Now a lot of it's Amari Cooper trade.
Yes.
But he made a lot of nice calls. He coached a good game in this game. The 4th down call I didn't love, and I hated that he didn't even try to onside kick with 2 minutes 10 seconds before the game when he got it within 30-22. No, it's not a high percentage play, but their defense had not stopped the Rams all night.
Should Garrett have, he would have had to have been fired, but should he have ridden off into the sunset with Tony Romo
Maybe.
a couple years ago?
To me, yes.
But, Jerry Jones got questioned about this yesterday or today about letting Garrett go. He said Garrett's absolutely not going anywhere. He said if I had fired Garrett, he said five of these jobs would have been calling him immediately.
Probably, yeah.
So
I
don't
say.
see that, but whatever. Garrett, I'll say this: for all my criticism of Garrett, he did a pretty nice job this year, the second half of the year, in the playoffs. They were just outplayed Sunday.
Looking back on it,
Saturday.
he's got to be one of the most tenured coaches out there now,
He's
doesn't
getting
he?
played
Especially
against-
with McCarthy getting fired.
With
And Marvin
Lewis
Lewis gone.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
getting up there. As far
I got to think it's him, Belichick, and Mike Tomlin, right?
Yeah, they're the longest tenure now.
Yeah. Anyway, talking about the Rams, though. Jared Goff, not a great game either. 15 of 28, 186 yards, no INTs, no touchdowns. He also had a fumble. But again, the Rams rammed it down y'all's throat.
Unbelievable.
C.J.
Yes.
Anderson
Was.
did not do any of this with the Panthers.
Good
Sorry,
move by
buddy,
the
but
Panthers cutting him, by the way.
23 carries, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. Todd Gurley was injured, I believe. He still came in, was able to run it 16 times for 115 yards and a touchdown. What's up with the Cowboys' run defense?
In that game, it was just amazing to watch. Troy Aikman was calling it. A lot of Cowboy fans hate Aikman calling the games because they say to me, he calls it like I say that the Cowboys' defensive line got gashed.
Yeah.
The Rams' offensive line was better,
Yeah.
way better.
Let me ask you a question. Dexter Lawrence is a free agent.
DeMarcus.
Or DeMarcus Lawrence, rather. I'm
DeMarcus.
thinking Clemson.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Lawrence is a free agent. Now, he had like 10.5 sacks this year.
For a couple of years now.
Should the Cowboys try to keep him, franchise him? Or?
Well, they franchised. He played on the franchise this past year.
Okay.
I think you could do it one more time, but they're gonna.
It cost them, though.
Yeah, they say they're gonna get a long-term deal done there, and they've got to. It's just stupid not to.
Yeah, because he's by far the best.
Oh, he's
defensive lineman there.
without a doubt. You put him on the line, and then you got Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch on the
Who's
linebacker.
basically
core.
replaced Sean Lee.
That's
hasn't
right.
he?
Sean Lee's future in Dallas
Gone.
he's mulling retirement right now.
Well, and he probably should. He's starting to get up there
Yeah.
age-wise, especially
Yeah.
for football.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's restart the clock. Pats Chargers. Now I got to be honest. This one surprised me.
It did too.
Because
Me too.
I took the Chargers to
Me
win
too.
to get to the Super Bowl before the season started. So of course I was going to stick with that. It just seems like, gosh, every time you bet against Brady and Belichick, they prove you're wrong.
I hate Tom Brady. God,
Yeah.
God, he does it, and I'll never pick against him again.
That's what I was going to say.
And even when I made my little Facebook Live last week, you can make a scenario where you can love them or hate them, but they always been consistent over the years. You like Brand said, don't bet on them because for some reason they're going to win.
God.
So they were able to put up 41 points to the Chargers 28, and this is that same Chargers defense that
game really
absolutely
wasn't that close.
decimated
Yeah.
Baltimore
Yeah.
last week. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson and Tom Brady are not on the
Yeah.
same level, but
Right.
still, I would have thought Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa and those guys would have stepped up like they did against Baltimore. But is this some of that Tom Brady wizardry that we see, or what's going on?
He was just awesome at getting the ball out of his hands. I mean, he very rarely had somebody in his face in that game. The Chargers would alternate. They'd bring pressure, not bring pressure. I mean, they tried to show him different looks.
Yeah.
But no matter what they did, Brady's just a master at getting the ball out of his hands.
Yes.
Let me show you how
Making it
efficient
reach.
he was. 34 of 44, 343 yards, only one touchdown, 0 sacks.
That's right.
And to me, that's the most
And
important
he's 102
stat.
years old, and he didn't get
Didn't
get
give
sacked
his-
once.
Didn't even get his jersey dirty.
Yeah. 41, I think he is what he
Yeah.
actually is.
Yeah.
But 0 sacks, that's how you keep a
impressive.
guy healthy.
That's
isn't it?
Yeah.
right. I mean, that the guy play forever if he stay on his feet.
Vest in your offensive line.
So Sony Michel, who was the running back at Georgia, he had a great game too.
Yep.
24 carries, 129 yards, 3 touchdowns. And of course, Brady needed somebody to pass it to. It doesn't really seem to matter who it is.
Yeah.
Julian Edelman got his number called. 9 receptions, 151 yards. Now no touchdowns, but still, it didn't seem
He
to
played a
matter.
great game. He
Yeah,
did play a
he
great
did.
game.
I do want to throw this out there though, because I was kind of hoping. I kept saying, man, just the odds of it alone. Phillip Rivers has to beat Tom Brady at some
Sometime.
point.
Yes.
Wasn't meant to be. However, he was 25 of 51, so he
Yeah.
had to throw the ball 51
If
times.
you had told me last week's show that Rivers was going to have to throw the ball 51 times, I would have said that's probably not good news.
No.
I mean, you got to be able to do some of both and
Absolutely.
get Brady off the field.
331 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. But because he had to throw it so much, and a lot of that's due because they were down the whole time.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon, who's had a great year, only 9 carries for 15 yards, and he had a touchdown, but still,
Yeah.
you got to have more
Same-
Melvin
same
Gordon.
thing.
Same
with-
balanced
same thing.
offense. You got to feed him.
Yeah, same thing with Elliott in the other
Yeah.
game. You got to have your star.
Now, Rivers did spread it out. He had 8 different receivers get a catch.
Yep.
So in that aspect, that's to me just classic Phillip Rivers. And I had to throw Melvin's stats out here too because, I feel like he was going to drop off after that crazy
Yeah.
game he had last week. 2 solo tackles, 1 tackle for loss. So, his season's over with, unfortunately. But the question I wanted to ask is, when will Tom Brady age out of football? Ever?
He said he wanted to play. He said in the last offseason he wanted to play until his mid-40s, and I scoffed when he
I
said
did
it.
too.
The
He's
last-
41 years old and playing like he's 30.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last person who played like that was George Blandon from the Oakland Raiders back in the
George
70s.
Blandon, that's a reach back right
Yeah,
there.
that's the old school shot there. I don't know. It's like the man's just defying the hands of
Yeah.
time. And,
Yeah.
I'm not writing him off.
I mean, he
No.
just won an MVP last year. It seems
Yeah.
like he's getting better, and I didn't
Yeah.
even think that was possible.
Yeah.
So again, it's to the point where you take the Patriots till you don't.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And that's what I did last Super Bowl, and of course it cost me. You picked the Eagles, and I was like, Brady, Belichick, I'm going with
Yeah.
them.
It's been a safe bet 5 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Now, talking about the Eagles, they and the Saints were the final matchup in the divisional round. Saints able to pick up the victory in a close game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
20-14. Nick Foles, though, 18 of 31, 201 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. Did we finally see the real Nick Foles here?
well,
What do you think?
he didn't play great,
No.
but there we were again. They got up quick 14-0, and then the game changed. Sean Payton made a great gutsy call on the fake punt from his own 30
Yes.
to turn that game around and turn the momentum. But to answer your question, Nick Foles, the last pick wasn't on him. It went right through the hands of Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah,
I
it
felt
did.
horrible for Alshon. Such a sure-handed, good receiver and been a good teammate. And my heart. I know he's a millionaire, so I don't feel too sorry for a millionaire. But to see him sprawled out on the turf, face down in the turf after missing that pass, and
Yeah.
it go.
You knew it hurt him.
Yeah.
And so I still think Foles played good enough to win the game. He took them down the field for the last drive. When the guy missed the field goal for the Saints, I said, "Here we go again. Foles is going to pull another one out of his rear, and we're going to be having to talk about the Eagles and hearing Sierra talk about the Eagles."
Oh yeah.
And so,
I end up wearing another hat.
but you know I don't know, but that one's on Foles.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys realize this, but I read that Jeffrey was playing with fractured ribs.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. I heard about
That
that.
very well could have had
Yeah.
a lot to do with
Yeah.
you missing that catch, but very competitive guy.
Yeah.
And,
Love having Alshon Jeffrey on my team any day of the week.
absolutely.
Oh,
Of
yeah,
course, my
especially
dad's a
in
huge,
Carolina.
He's
Yeah.
a huge Jeffrey fan because my dad's a big Gamecocks fan.
And three
But-
drops all year before that drop, by the way. Or
Really?
that was his
Wow.
third drop.
Wow, sure-handed. Of course, he's a big basketball player.
Yeah.
I feel like mixing those two a lot of times is
Yeah.
beneficial for some of these
Yeah.
guys. On the Saints side, though, Drew Brees did Drew Brees things.
Another
yeah.
100-year-old.
28 of 38, 301 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, as far as turning it over, not a good game. He had a pick. He also had 2 fumbles.
That first pick was a bad one, too, because he had
Yeah.
the receiver open.
Yeah. But Michael Thomas, 12 receptions, 171 yards and a touchdown. Kamara had 71 yards, so they did what they usually do.
They spread it around.
Again, I think we can kind of say the same things about Drew Brees that we say about Brady, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you had told me 3 years ago the January 2019 AFC Championship game and NFC Championship game was going to contain Drew Brees
Two 40-year-olds.
and Tom Brady both over 40, I would have laughed.
Yeah.
And here they are playing some of the best football of their careers.
And then on the other side, you've got really, really young
Yeah,
Mahomes
that's
and
right.
really, really young Jared Goff. So
That's
we're,
right.
we're going to see
That's right.
whether it's time for the new school to
That's
come
right.
in or whether the old school's still
present
gonna
and the
rule
future.
roost.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into that, guys. Let's start the clock over again. Do want to mention here, sometimes people ask about seeding, whether it's beneficial or not. Number 1 and number 2 playing in both championships. I think there's something to be said about that. What do you guys think about that real quick?
I think it matters. I mean, home field matters.
Yes.
Yeah, home field matters,
the-
yes.
You
It
got
shows
that-
that the regular season. I mean, every once in a while, wild card team, you'll see a Pittsburgh get hot, make
Sure.
a or the
Giants
Giants
did it.
Yeah.
That's right. But for the most part, we've got the 4 best teams
Yeah.
in football left going into the final weekend.
Yeah, not only do they get to play at home, but they got to skip a game
That's
too,
right.
to
Yeah.
get
That's
rested
right.
and get
That's
guys
why. That's
back.
why 40-year-olds can bounce back.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes a
You're
difference.
absolutely right. So number 2 Rams, number 1 Saints, NFC Championship. By the way, that's going to be at 3:05 on Sunday afternoon. Who's going to score more points?
The Rams versus the Saints. This is me. For this scenario, I see the Saints scoring more points, but when it's all said and done, I see the Rams going to the Super Bowl.
So how's that work? The Saints score
You
more
tell
points.
Me, tell me how the Saints score more points than lose.
Yeah, how's that play out, Jeremy?
Because you're gonna look at the defense. Because this is what look.
Yeah, but whoever scores more points wins, John Madden.
I know a John Madden moment. No, but Tom Brady. I mean Drew Brees. They're gonna do what they're gonna do regardless.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna be a scenario if the defense of the Rams don't step up and put pressure on Drew Brees, then you could look at it. It's gonna be a long day for the Rams.
Okay. Who you think is going to score more points?
God,
And
I've
in
been so
essence,
good.
win the game.
I've been so good at picking these games.
Yeah.
But after watching the way the Rams just destroyed the Cowboys, if they can have a balanced attack like they did, I'm picking the Rams. Just against my gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When this season started, Jeremy, we talked about how on paper the Rams were one of the best teams. Now we'd have to obviously wait and see how the season plays out. Turns out they were just as good on the field as they were on paper.
Yes.
However, just like with Tom Brady and the Patriots, I'm going to take Drew Brees until he's not there anymore,
That's always a good call. With
and
Drew
I'm
Brees.
going to do that. So I guess we kind of jumped ahead
Yep.
here and
That's
took our
fine.
picks.
That's
But
fine.
can the Saints stop the Rams' rush attack that we just saw be dominant?
No.
I think the Saints' defense is better.
They are better.
I mean, they showed in the game they lost to the game they lost to the Cowboys. Defense was stellar. The Cowboys won that game on defense, and the Saints have been good. The Saints were good last week on defense. The Eagles are not bad.
No.
And Saints, I think the Saints are more physical on the defensive line, so I think they will stand up better. I don't know if they'll stop them, but I don't think the Rams will run for 280,000 yards like they did against
I
Cowboys.
don't see that happening either. On the other side of that, I think that, like you mentioned, the Saints' offensive line is going to have a task on their hands. stopping Ndamukong Suh, Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So that's three really good down linemen.
Those are some studs on the defensive line for
Absolutely.
the
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps the best D line in
Yeah.
the in
Football.
The, in
Rams.
football.
Be
yeah.
hard to argue against that.
All right, so let's move forward to the AFC side. Once again, number 1 versus number 2. Patriots coming in as the 2 seed, going to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. That's going to be Sunday evening at 6:40 p.m. My first question here for you guys: who has the better tight end in this game?
Travis Kelce.
Chiefs, without a doubt, right now.
Yeah.
At this stage in their careers.
I would agree with that. Matter of fact, we've heard tales that Gronk may mull over retirement again. You think he's done after the season, win or loss?
I think he'll come back.
Yeah, I think he'll come back.
I think he comes back for one more, but I think if he continues to have injury problems, it's one and done.
Even if they win, you think he comes
Yeah.
back?
Ooh.
Wins Super Bowl?
Ooh.
Because that'll be 2 or 3 for him at that point.
I don't know. That's tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's hit, because injury prone.
Yeah, I don't know. If he wins, that's going. I say if he wins, he's gone. If he loses, he's back.
Yeah.
All right, another question for you regarding Gronk.
All right.
As we sit right now, Hall of Famer?
No.
Pretty gaudy stats when he's healthy.
I'm gonna say yes.
One of the
Yeah,
best-
Ring of Honor.
one of the top 5 tight ends in history.
Statistically,
Jason Witten's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day, and
Yes.
and I'll say if Jason Witten is in the Hall of Fame, how could Gronk not be?
I think we're going to see, not in the same year, obviously, but Witten go in as a
Yep.
tight end, Gronk go in as
Yep.
a tight end, and gosh, there was
Greg
one.
Gonzalez,
Olsen.
maybe
Who?
Gonzalez.
He's already.
Well, Tony
Yeah,
Gonzalez is
in.
already
He's already
in.
in.
Greg Olsen.
Well, yeah. See, Greg Olson's another. Antonio Gates was trying to think.
Yeah.
Antonio Gates is coming back next year. I
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah, he's coming back another
Why
year.
not?
I mean, he said he had fun.
If there's
And-
ever a safety net
Yep.
for Phillip Rivers, it's
Yeah.
that guy.
He said he didn't mind his reduced role. He said he was having a great time playing.
There you go.
So Antonio Gates, I think, is a Hall of Famer for sure.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
no doubt.
And personally, I think Gronk is right now because of his stats and he's got Super Bowl rings.
I mean,
you know?
he's been.
Isn't that ultimately what you play
because
for?
of his injury situation? I've heard people say about his lack of toughness. I think it's exact opposite. I think it's just
Yeah.
he's played through a lot of
Because
stuff.
he's tough.
And,
yeah.
and I think he's. I'd love to have him on Dallas. And right now,
Yeah, well, me too. Second question regarding this game: will the atmosphere be too much for Mahomes, even though they're playing at home?
no.
No.
You think he steps up and does?
I don't know if he wins. But I don't think the moment's too big for him. He was so poised the other day.
Now, I know we can sit here and play the what if game till we're blue in the face, but what if this game was in Foxborough? You think that might be a little different?
Yeah, but a different ball
I think
game.
that would make a difference. But I think
Yeah.
being home is going to be huge for him.
Yeah, and Arrowhead is. I don't think some people don't realize this. It gets really loud in Kansas
That's
City.
on my bucket list places to go to
Is
a
it?
football
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Because that's a great atmosphere.
Yeah, and people don't. I don't think people realize it because it. I guess maybe at first look, it's just kind of an average looking
Yeah.
stadium, but it
Yeah.
gets very
Little
loud
old
in there.
Midwestern town, and I mean, I would love to go to Kansas City for the weekend and,
Yeah.
and tailgate and hang out in Kansas City all day.
And you know what? I've kind of been expecting all year long for the league to figure out Mahomes because essentially this was his rookie year, and I know technically he was last
Yeah.
year. Sat on the bench, held the clipboard, learned from Alex Smith, even though they're two totally different quarterbacks in my opinion. But I'm with you. He seems poised. Seems like he knows the system. He's got playmakers around him. With that being said, who you got?
I'm going for the upset. I'm going for Kansas City.
Now, wait a minute. Time out. Because New England is the 2 seed, so technically that wouldn't be an upset.
It is.
All right. Go ahead, Brandon.
Well,
I just sat here and said 10 minutes ago I would never pick against the Pats again.
Oh, here we go.
And here I go. Go Chiefs.
All right.
I think they're going to find a way to get it done. And I hope they find a way to get it done. And I really think Mahomes is ready.
yeah.
I'm taking the geriatric bowl.
Nothing wrong with that.
And I shouldn't say that because I'm also approaching 40. But I've got Saints, Patriots. I mean, of course, at this point, any combination of two teams could get in there. But I just think the experience with Drew Brees and Tom Brady, again, you can't really bet against them. Sean Payton, he's been there for a while too. I forget about him.
He's a long, he started as an assistant with didn't start, but he was an assistant with Parcells, and everybody always said
The tuna.
he was going to come back. You know, a few years ago he bought a house in Dallas, and
Yeah, I
everybody said
remember that talk.
he's coming back as a general manager of the Cowboys, and he just stays right there with the Saints and keeps on winning. I mean, and,
Yeah,
and
as
Super
long as
Bowl
you got
ring.
Drew Brees.
and he's revered there. I mean, he's
Yeah.
not going anywhere. And great
So,
coach.
With our picks now, who you got winning the Super Bowl?
The Chiefs versus the Rams. When it's all said and done, I like to see the Rams take one.
All right.
I'm going with the Chiefs. Andy Reid finally gets his ring
They go home.
and shuts all the naysayers up about what an average coach he is, because he has been a great coach for a long time.
Is he the best coach without a Super Bowl ring?
Yes.
Yes.
Cause matter of fact, he
I'm
did.
saying-
Yeah,
I'm
he
saying.
did win one, but he was an assistant coach with Mike.
As a head coach.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, he got Philadelphia. Now everybody knows what a great talent T.O. was.
Yeah,
But he was also
Donovan
a distraction. But
Yes.
he managed to guide that team into the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I think if T.O. doesn't play that game on a fractured leg,
Yeah.
the Eagles probably win that
And he
game.
still balled out.
He still
even on
had a
fractured
great game.
leg.
I mean,
And of course, they ran into the Patriots.
that's
buzzsaw
right.
like
Nine
a lot of
receptions.
NFC
That was
teams
right.
did.
And Tom Brady in his
Yeah.
prime.
Yeah,
That was tough.
Exactly. I've got, again, Saints Patriots. I'm taking Drew Brees to win his second Super Bowl.
Not a bad call.
And
I think
I'd even go as far to say they win and he becomes MVP and gets him a free car, goes to Disney World.
cool.
I think that's where his son wants to go to Disney World.
I think this is the first four. I mean, the first time I remember in a while where I really, really love three of the four quarterbacks. And I don't hate Brady. It's just I equate Brady to Montana. I was a Cowboys fan growing up, and so I remember the catch.
Yeah.
I remember how much it broke my heart. I hated Montana. But looking back on his career, you just appreciate greatness. And Brady is truly,
Yeah,
Well,
the goat.
and the discussion is good.
The GOAT.
I feel like, and I mentioned it earlier, we've got the young guys versus the old guys.
Great mix this weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's great
Yeah.
because we're seeing them split
Yeah.
among the two games.
Yeah.
With that being said, with my picks, I'm taking experience over
Yeah.
youthfulness. But,
And that's probably right.
well, you could
I
go
mean,
either way.
it's
obviously.
tough to say. But they both won a bunch of big games, Brady and Breeze.
Just like your Mount Rushmore right now.
Yeah. So Super Bowl 53 will actually be here in 2 weeks.
Yes.
By the way, next week will be our 1-year anniversary for the RO Sports
Congratulations.
Show's
Yes.
plethora
Awesome.
of
Okay.
platforms here because our first show was the one right before the Super Bowl, if you remember,
Awesome.
Jeremy.
Oh yeah, and I told everybody I picked the Eagles to beat the Patriots.
Yeah, you were the only one, and you were correct. So let's move from football and head to the court. Talk about the NBA, which we need to start jumping on here because we're starting
Yep.
to get into
Over
the
halfway through. Yep.
meat of the season. LeBron, of course, we all know now went to the Lakers.
Yep.
He's been nursing a strained groin injury,
Yeah.
and he's still dealing with it. So they actually played Golden State Monday on Martin Luther King Day. He's missed the last 11 games, and the Lakers are 4-7 without him. They're I'm losing my voice here, if you can tell. They're 24-21 overall, 8th in the West. They have no shot without LeBron, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, LeBron makes them a contender without. If he wasn't to play the rest of the year, it won't be long. They'll be out of that 8th seed. They won't even make
Oh, yeah.
playoffs. They're not even a playoff team without him.
Right now, they're 3 games over, and I agree with you. They're
Yeah.
out. What do you think, Jeremy?
Just like Brandon said, this is a scenario where no LeBron, you ain't gonna win too many games. You're not gonna make it to the playoffs. 'Cause, I mean,
Especially in the West.
Yeah,
Amazing
the
how
way-
much
the
better
way-
Coach Luke Walton became once LeBron got there.
He gets people pay raises, for
That's
sure.
right.
yes,
And I think really the only stat that you need to show people, I'm not exactly sure what their record is, but the Cavs have the worst record in the NBA, 8 and
Yeah,
30 or something.
Yeah, they're
and all they
terrible.
lost was LeBron. Now I
Yeah.
say all, but that just goes to show
Yeah,
you the importance of him
That's
on
right.
the team.
yeah, one guy can make a big difference.
Yeah, and I mean I feel like he can make the biggest out of anybody in
Yeah.
the league.
Yeah.
Talking about LeBron. So that they mentioned yesterday that he'll hopefully come back before that game against Golden State because they're obviously going to need him,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes,
And by the way, DeMarcus Cousins, we talked about that last week.
That's right.
Should be making his comeback here soon as well. Sticking with the NBA, let's talk about the Hornets. Wah, wah, wah. 20-23 overall. What do you know? 8th in the West, which is where they've seemed to be sitting for the last 50 years.
Yeah,
the
that's
East.
right.
So are we just seeing the same old from the Hornets this year?
Yeah, the Hornets are paying for years and years of bad decision in management. They got a lot of average players with superstar contracts, and they're never, with that current roster, going to be better than 8th or 9th in the East.
Yeah.
Ever.
no.
What do you
And then-
think?
It's pretty much the same thing Brand said. You know, for the past few years, bad decisions, bad management. You know, you could put this on Michael Jordan a lot, And I mean, you got one superstar in Kemba Walker, but you got to put talent around him if you want to be contenders.
Yeah,
They signed Mitch Kupchak last year as a general manager.
which I think is a good move.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
it was.
but he's got to dig out of a salary cap hell
Yes.
Yeah.
to turn that around, and they're going to have to take some lumps for the next 2 or 3 years so they can start unloading the Nicholas Batuns of the world, who I like,
I don't.
but
I
he's
don't.
but he's an average player
Yeah,
on
that's
a $100
making
million contract.
Way too much money. And I think that was part of what we've seen over the last 5, 6, 7 years where like 6th, 7th, 8th guys off the bench are making
Yeah.
max money. That I don't
I
understand.
don't get it.
But can we all agree that they're wasting Kimba's peak years right
Oh,
now?
yeah,
Oh,
without-
they are. They
Oh, yeah.
are. I can see a scenario right now if Michael Jordan and Munchak come to the table right now. Kemba Walker, where you want to go?
Now, see, it's funny you mentioned that because this time last or during the
Yeah.
NBA season last year, I preached. Brandon, this is before you came on the show, but I want to get your opinion on
Okay.
it. It's time to tear it down. Trade Kimba, get what you can. This was at the point where they traded Dwight Howard, and I
Yep.
said this is the start of it.
Yep.
Now, Kimba says he wants to stay, and that's fine.
Kimba's a class act.
He
He's
is.
Gonna say that.
He is,
Yeah.
but I feel like you could get a really good package and
Yep.
help to start over
Yep.
by trading him, right?
I think it does right by the Hornets, and I think it does right by Kimba.
Yeah, because
Kimba's too good a player
Yeah.
And then-
he deserves to play
Yes.
with the winner.
yeah, and they're just sitting there idling at
Yeah.
7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
like the Redskins.
That's right. That's right.
Same thing.
That's right.
Not good enough to make the playoffs. Not bad enough to get a
lottery
top
pick.
draft
That's
pick.
right. I mean, they're not. I mean, it would be awesome if they could lose out.
Yeah.
And get Zion Williamson next year.
Start over.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not going to happen. They're going to be right there in that mid range of the first round, picking somebody who may or may not make it.
And it'll probably be a power forward because that
That's
seems to be the only
right. Yeah, that's
player
right.
that they want
That's
to pick.
right.
So the Hornets are actually 14-8 at home, 6-15 on the road though. So road woes is what's
Yeah.
killing them so far this
Yeah.
season. Do want to mention one other quick thing about the Hornets. I don't know if you guys saw this. You'll get a kick out of this. Monday night, Tony Parker got a standing ovation when they went down to San Antonio.
I
Didn't they
saw
beat
that.
San Antonio?
108-93.
Yeah.
So that was a big victory, although I'm not
Yeah.
so sure the Spurs are as good as
Yeah,
they
they're
have been
not.
in the
They're
Hey,
past.
whoa, hold on now.
Well, tell me why they are then.
Right now, I think it's a rejuvenating with LaMarcus Aldridge after that 56-point game he had on last week. And I seen DeMar DeRozan's coming on his own. I think this is where the Spurs going to have to push themselves, even though you don't have Ginobili, the Parkers, or the Duncans anymore. I think Greg Pop needs to pretty much work what you got, get to the playoffs, see what you can do, and then we can go back to the drawing board and try to rebuild.
There you go. All right, guys, let's start with a different topic here. Let's talk about Kyler Murray for a minute.
Okay.
So, as we now know, he has decided to head to the NFL
I
draft,
saw that.
I
but
see that.
he can still consider playing for the Oakland A's. That contract's still sitting out there. The A's can still negotiate with him. So we've talked about which one he should choose, baseball or football. Let me throw a scenario out there. What about playing both?
This ain't Michael Jordan
Uh,
or Reggie Jackson
I,
or both Jackson.
with the way the seasons fall, he could certainly make it work
Yeah.
on the right baseball team for a while. I heard somebody talk about this comparison the other day. Not necessarily that, but they were talking about Bo Jackson and the guy I was listening to. I don't even know who he was. Some guy on ESPN, and he said, I told my son because my son and I like to YouTube and watch stuff with the old guys and show him about the old guys.
Right.
And we talk about Bo Jackson and I told my son, I said, I really truly believe Bo Jackson was one of those generational talents that was good enough to be Hall of Fame in either or both sports.
Yeah. He could've just stayed healthy.
If he could just,
Yeah.
So I really think, although he could make it work short term when he was young, but I don't think the human body can take year-round abuse. Even though baseball is not as physical as
Yeah.
football, I don't know if you can stand that long term.
Also, Bo Jackson was a tree trunk of a man.
Golly.
Kyler Murray's 5'9".
That's right.
So a little bit of difference
Yeah,
as far as
yeah,
body type.
yeah.
Somebody that I don't know that we can compare him to, but I found it interesting. Somebody asked Deion Sanders' opinion on this, and
Deion Sanders did it well.
he was successful.
He did it well.
And I
Yeah.
remember a time, because I've been a Braves fan, when he played for the Falcons, took a helicopter to the stadium, and then played for the Braves that night,
Yeah.
stole like 3 bases.
Yeah, and somebody, somebody called him selfish for doing it, or somebody did, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. If you're that talented.
Sanders played in a World Series.
Yeah.
and
and
a
a Super Bowl. And I don't know that there's been anybody
I don't know
else
if
do
anybody's
that.
ever done that.
And actually, the Braves have had 2 guys that played football too. Brian Jordan.
Brian
was the other
Jordan,
one.
who does the Braves
Yeah.
showdown.
Yep. So you know what Dion's advice was? Pick up a baseball bat and don't look back. And that's coming from a guy that tried
There's
both.
a Hall of Fame in football.
Yeah, that did both sports successfully. And his advice is to stick with baseball. And that's what my advice was too.
Well, you know, the
He
money.
doesn't
We
care what I
talked.
think.
We talked about that, and you brought some good points. And baseball, the money's guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Now football is getting more and more guaranteed contracts,
Especially for a quarterback.
Yeah.
But
but the baseball is guaranteed money for a lot longer time, lot longer lifespan, typically in a baseball career than it is in a football career.
Yep. And as we've seen in football, if you get injured, they're
Yeah.
pretty much done with, unless
Yeah.
you're like a franchise
That's
type
right.
guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know that Kyler Murray is there yet. And I mean, and again, he's 5'9", which it's not unprecedented. But
yeah.
the Russell Wilsons, the Drew Breeses, to me, those are the exceptions
Well,
to the
for
rule.
every one of those,
You forget about
there's-
you forgot
there's-
about one play. You forgot about one play. A lot of people don't think.
Doug Flutie.
Doug Flutie.
Yeah. Already knew
He
what you
was
were gonna
good.
say.
I'll give you that. He was good.
Yeah. But again, I don't know. Personally, I would, if I had to choose, again, I would say stick to baseball.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
And, after winning the Heisman, you could tell that he
That's
was.
interesting. That Dion said that though.
Yeah, I found it interesting
yeah,
too.
very
But you could tell as the season went on, and after he won the Heisman, his interest started peaking in,
Yeah.
in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's tough to turn down. If
I
you're
mean,
good enough to be in both leagues,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would want to do it.
Yeah.
I just want the money.
That's right.
That
That's right.
part, they'll pay you more in baseball anyway.
Yeah, more than likely. So let's move on to our last topic here. Restart my fake clock here. Let's talk some college basketball. Of course,
right.
the Tar Heels and the Dookie Blue Devils both lost to unranked teams over the last handful of days.
I know.
UNC lost Saturday, and I don't even want to say the
Handily.
score, but 83-62 to unranked Louisville.
Royals.
However, they were able to rebound Tuesday night, 75-69, in a kind of ugly game against Notre Dame. In the meantime, Duke lost Monday to an unranked Syracuse team, 95-91 in overtime. So, does any of this really matter?
Nope.
No.
In the ACC, just like the SEC in football, in my opinion, my humble opinion, the ACC basketball schedule is brutal.
Yep.
And
It's very
it's a rare occurrence when you're just going to plow through the ACC. I don't care if you are Duke,
Yeah.
who is loaded, and not lose a game. Jim Boeheim probably knows Mike Krzyzewski better than any coach
Sure.
in America, and his teams always play well against Krzyzewski's teams.
Yeah, I mean they've been battling against each other for
For years,
35
that's right,
years.
for
or
years. So,
something.
it's not a big deal. Duke's still the best team in the country, in my opinion. Carolina's still 12th, 13th, probably looking at a 3-4 seed.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, and I hate to have to say this, but I feel like this is a down year for Carolina.
Oh yeah, it is.
It is what it is. And
Nasir Little was awesome last night, though.
he was.
Golly,
He was. Let's talk about that then.
all right.
Yeah,
Let's talk about Chapel Hill Tar Heels. Go ahead.
Yeah, Nasir Little was one of these freshmen that was coming in, and he had a lot of hype around him.
Yeah.
To the point where I even saw a couple of NBA big boards that had him going number 1.
Yeah.
Now that surprised me a little bit,
Yeah.
especially with Zion
Yeah.
hanging out there
Yeah.
and the other 2 guys from
Yeah.
Duke. But I don't know. Cody White to me has stepped up
Yeah.
and done some things that surprised myself, and I think it's surprised some other people
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
As far as Carolina, though, by the time we get to ACC play, I feel like every year Roy has made the decision: are we going to be a running gun team, or are we going to throw it down in the post and beat you that way? It seems like, I know we've scored 100 points a few games, but it seems to me like if we out rebound you, especially on the offensive side, we win.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Right?
The Louisville game, they got out rebounded.
Yeah.
And they got waxed, and so yeah, their success this year is going to be rebounding and putbacks.
Yeah. And again, we saw North Carolina win a national championship just 2017. The year before that, they lost to a buzzer beater.
Yeah.
You can't win it every year,
That's right.
guys.
That's right. Yep.
Somebody else needs to get in there.
Roy Williams' 16th year at Carolina. He's been to 5 Final Fours and won 3 championships.
What else can you ask
I
for?
mean, that it's hard to top that, and you're not gonna be
Yeah.
the best team in the country every year. And this is a year they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not saying they can't. Who knows
Yeah,
what
and-
might happen in 2 months? Tournament's 2 months away.
Yeah, and they'll still get in the tournament.
Yep.
I don't
Oh,
think there's
yeah,
any doubt
regardless,
about that,
regardless.
unless something just
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah, unless that
happens.
wheels fall off.
Yeah. And I agree. I think 3 or 4 seeds probably right
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be expecting a 1 seed this year unless we just go on some kind of crazy run,
Yeah.
and which is possible.
Yeah, anything's possible. And I was really encouraged last night because that was an ugly basketball game.
Yeah.
An ugly
Those are the
basketball
ones
game
you
to
have to
watch.
win.
And they found a way to win that game. They got down. They had jumped out to the lead, hit a few 3-pointers, and then just fell in love with it and quit hitting them. And then when Notre Dame had the lead, not a big lead, but 5 or 6 points, you know, some point in the second half, Nasir Little scored all 11 of his points in the last 11 minutes. The first move he made on the baseline to go by the guy and get the dunk, to get the rally started for Carolina, was probably his best play of his freshman year.
And what I'm hoping is this will jumpstart
Like a
him
catalyst for him.
for the
I
rest of
really
the
hope.
season.
I really hope so, because it seems like a great kid.
Yeah, maybe he'll
and
come
he's
out of the
certainly
shell, if
talented.
you will.
Certainly talented.
One other quick thing regarding college basketball. Let's not forget about Virginia, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Virginia's ranked number 4. Duke's number 1. They play Saturday, 6 p.m. Actually, that's going to be tomorrow night, right? I don't even know. Anyway, Virginia
Yeah,
Duke.
yeah.
Number 4, number 1. Who do you think's going to win this? It's at Cameron Indoor.
I'm picking Virginia.
I take it Virginia.
They destroyed Virginia Tech.
Yeah, it wasn't even
the other
close.
night. They
Wasn't even close.
destroyed Virginia Tech.
It seems only 2 teams this year have scored more than 60 points against Virginia. Now we know by now that's how the Wahoos win. They don't let you get more than 60
Yeah.
points, and if you do, it's maybe 65.
Yeah.
And that's how they stop guys. They shoot the ball well. They make free throws. They make a lot of threes. They don't turn the ball over. And Tony Bennett, besides that number 1 to number 16 loss,
Yeah.
always has a good team. So
Yep. And I really think that this team seems to be better offensively than a lot of his teams.
Yeah.
And I think the game against Duke is going to show that. And I also think they're going to be better in the tournament this year. I hope so, because I like Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
A good coach,
Yeah.
good solid guy. He's really been good for the ACC because there's somebody other than Carolina and Duke now.
yeah, and it's a totally different style of coaching.
It is.
However, all that being said, I'm taking Duke, and I'll tell you why. I think that between Zion, Cam Reddish, and R.J. Barrett, plus all the other guys, top guys that they have,
Yeah.
they'll be able to score more than 60, even against that Virginia defense, and it's at home. So you got the Cameron Crazies right there on top of
I
you.
hate 'em, but
it's
they are
tough
awesome.
to beat. It's tough to beat Duke
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah.
All right, guys. A couple more things here before we finish up. We've got our big impacts of the week, brought to you by Richmond Community College, whose motto is local college, big impact. Brandon, let's start with you. Who's your big impact this week?
Raiders basketball.
Yeah.
2 upset wins in the last week. They upset Lumberton and they upset 71st this week. That is awesome. Great 2 great wins.
Absolutely.
I'm happy for them. Maybe it's the start of a good run to go.
I hope
towards the end
so,
of the
because they're trying to get back to 500 at the moment.
Hopefully that'll start them on a good run.
Sounds good. What about you, Jeremy?
I got LA Chargers All-Pro defensive end / linebacker Melvin Ingram. He's supposed to be coming down sometime next week, so I'll make a rap video shouting out to his hometown for his support throughout the season.
Very cool. And I imagine he'll definitely have a lot of support here.
Oh, absolutely.
People just want to see him and hang
That's
out
right.
with
I
him.
mean, great talent.
Yeah, and by the way, Melvin, if you're watching, we'd love to have you on the RO Sports Show. You are welcome anytime,
My son's a huge fan.
especially here during the off
Yes,
season,
And
right?
also, he'll be playing in the Pro Bowl this coming weekend, I believe.
That's right.
The
So
weekend betwing the 2
where do they
champions.
hold that now? Is it still
Orlando.
in
It's in Orlando this year.
I know they'd moved it off of
Yeah.
Hawaii for
Yeah.
multiple reasons. And then my big impact this week, keeping it local as well. Competing in the Eagle Duels at East Montgomery High School, the Raiders wrestling team swept their opponents, going a perfect 5-0 on the day.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Not only was it the second consecutive weekend that head coach Earl Nicholson's team went undefeated, the 5 victories were a single meet season best performance. So,
Awesome.
Congratulations
Congrats to Coach
them.
Nicholson.
Yeah, and that is our big impacts of the week. Now, let me hit up the official Richmond County Athletes of the Week, as if I don't, Russell said he's going to take my coffee maker. So from the girls' side, we've got Kelsey Murray, a senior on the Richmond Senior High School girls swimming team.
Awesome.
This is her first year with the swimming program, but she was part of the Lady Raiders team that won the 200-yard relay.
Cool.
So congratulations to her. And then on the male side, we've got another swimmer, Thomas Barbie, a sophomore on the boys swimming team. Two
Awesome.
two great
Congratulations.
kids, great athletes.
And a good upstart program.
Yes.
And a good
Yes.
upstart program.
Yeah, and we talked to Mike Way, their coach, on the Raider Wrap-Up show this week. And by the way, great coach, always gets the best out of his
I
kids.
tell you what, I've known Mike for a long time, and I've
Yeah.
seen him just get a lot out of the people he's coached. Great person too.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, his mom taught me typing
Oh,
at
that's
Rockingham
awesome.
Jr.
That's awesome. Love Miss Way.
And we actually still did it on a typewriter.
I remember doing. I took
So,
typing on a typewriter.
Yeah, I'm not as young as I look. All right, guys, let's finish it up with love it or hate it. We got our first one here. It is baseball. So I mentioned this to you, Brand, before we started. The Chicago White Sox have officially made a 7-year, $175 million offer to Manny Machado. Let's start with you, Brand. Love it or hate it?
Hate it.
All right.
Because Manny will turn it down.
Yes, he will.
He will scoff at that money and not think it's enough. And
All right.
I'm gonna say hate it too. That's a little below the bear for his talent and caliber anyway.
I'm right there with you. I do want to say 7 years may be the most that he gets, but 175 million to us is a lot of money. To a lot of people, that's a lot of money. But he came in thinking he was going to, the
300
minimum
million
was going to
yeah.
be 300.
Yeah, he was thinking 300 million range,
Yeah.
and unless something's happened that I don't know about. Yeah, the hustle comment he made certainly hurt him, but it's not going to cost him $125 million.
No.
Somebody else will give him more.
Let me ask you this. Bryce Harper and Manny Machado are still sitting out there. Pitchers and catchers report in like 4
soon,
weeks.
very soon, yeah.
So obviously, it feel like a lot of the other big-time free agents are waiting for those two dominoes to fall.
Yeah.
But with these two guys wanting so much money, are they almost backing themselves into a corner? Because you've got the White Sox, you've got the Phillies, and who?
That's right. And I read an article, a very interesting article the other day that said it might not be good for teams to sign either one of those two guys when
Exactly.
you could take that same money and stretch it out and get several
Yeah.
really good ball
Get
players.
5 or 6 guys.
I mean, okay,
Yeah.
you get Bryce Harper, great. He's going to get you 30 bombs, 120 RBIs. But if you finish at 70 and 90 next year because
Yeah.
the rest of your team sucks because you couldn't sign anybody,
Exactly.
was it worth the money?
And we see this a lot with the NFL with quarterbacks. Like you draft a quarterback, you try to capitalize on it while he's still on that rookie contract because
That's
at
right.
that point you can spread money around.
That's right.
And then you have to pay him, and you see a scenario like Matt Stafford in Detroit where they're not good because they don't have a way
That's
to
right.
spread
They
money
paid
out.
Matt Stafford. Cowboys paid Tony Romo. Had no running game,
I
no
think
defense.
I think Matthew Stafford need to be traded.
Well, maybe they do that. We'll see. Speaking of quarterbacks in the NFL, Doug Peterson, the head coach for the Eagles, said that they are committed to Carson Wentz at quarterback, even with Nick Foles hanging out there having another great season. Love it or hate it.
I'm going to say it's kind of like a love or hate it type thing. Because I'm going to tell you why. Carson Wentz, when he's healthy, pretty good guy, put up stats for you, would not have you. But at the same time, Nick Foles, on the other hand, who pretty much comes in and save your season.
Proved it.
He proved it time and time after again. For me, for Nick Foles, I just rather for him just take your talent somewhere else next
Yeah.
season.
Like Washington. Love it or hate it,
I
Brandon?
love it only from this angle because I'm a Dallas fan.
Get
and
him
I
out of
want
there.
Get Nick Foles out of the NFC East. Bye. Get out. Get out.
I'm going to say love it that they're committed to Wentz because what else are you going to say? We're kicking him to the curb.
That's right.
And I would imagine, we talked about this last week, they maybe need to go ahead and do something with Foles so they don't run into a Kirk Cousins situation.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we know how that turned out.
Yep.
Sticking with football, the Chicago Bears will not rule out pursuing Kareem Hunt at running back. Love it or hate it? Whoever wants to start.
I'm going to say a lukewarm it.
Okay.
I am a firm believer. Has he been? Not has he been?
He has not been charged with anything
No.
or anything like
All right.
that.
I think everybody. I think they should cool their jets and see how the legal process plays itself out. If he's guilty, then you suspend him.
Then he's dead to the NFL. at that
That's
point.
right. That's right.
And he's Ray Rice.
In the meantime, why not? If you take a flyer on him, you can always cut him. Now the backlash, you got to decide whether the backlash is going to be worth it or not. Because if he did what he's accused of, then he deserves
Well,
everything that happens to him.
And it's kind of tough for him to deny it because there's video of
is
him
it?
beating this woman. Yeah.
Oh, is it? I didn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
in a,
so,
in like
you know,
a hotel hallway or
So I
something.
mean,
TMZ
so
reported it.
you know, if I was a Dallas, if I was Jerry Jones, I wouldn't sign him.
Yeah.
And if I was Tepper, the owner of the Panthers.
Isn't that the exact kind of players that Jones at least used to be
he
notorious for
jumped
doing?
he jumped all over Greg Hardy, and I was like,
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
Oh yeah, that was recent.
Oh
too.
yeah, that was within after the Panthers cut him for his issue. I mean, what do you think? I mean, I am a firm believer in second chance. You see the Michael Vicks of the world, who was a great redemption story after
Yeah.
going through his issue and coming back and had a great career. But Kareem Hunt is so young, and so far, to my knowledge, has not shown any repentance for anything.
No.
So right now, that's tough.
It is
But,
tough.
I
What do you
gotta
think,
say-
That's kind of, I'm going with Brent. It's kind of like in between because really for Chicago Bears organization, you already got a 1-2 punch in Jordan Howard
I was
and
about to say, don't they already have
Pretty good.
a running
Tyreek-
back combo?
Tyreek Cohen.
Yeah.
And then with Brand, so you got the legal, the NFL and the thing process everything out. But I'm pretty sure that for them and Kareem Hunt, you know, I'm gonna say hate it because I think this is a scenario where let the courts take care of everything, then you can get yourself.
I did
back.
not know there was video. I have not followed his story
Yeah.
very closely.
Yeah.
I knew what he was accused
As
of.
Jeremy said, TMZ, who
Yeah.
just seems to be everywhere, was all
Yeah.
over that
Oh wow.
and showed that video.
And that was stupid anyway.
Kareem Hunt, very good running back.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like he maybe have
Hurt his-
quote unquote shot himself in the foot here,
Mm-hmm.
and perhaps cost himself the rest of his NFL career
Yeah.
over something that obviously nobody here condones, and you should
Absolutely.
never do that. I'm with you guys. Let it play out. See what happens. If it turns out, I don't know. See, the thing is even if he doesn't get charged, that video's still there.
There's a video there. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't deny
Yeah.
if that's
Yeah.
you.
All right, so let's move forward. Brandon, you may have to sit out on this one because I don't know how much current wrestling you keep up with. But Finn Balor is going to be replacing Braun Strowman in the Royal Rumble Universal title match. Love it or hate it?
Are you serious? I hate it.
All right. You want to take a stab?
No comment. Don't even know who one of those two guys.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for Ricky Steamboat.
There you go.
Yeah, that's your time. That's your era.
Braun Strowman has been the guy that WWE's been pushing now,
Okay.
and they call him the monster of men because he's like 7 feet tall,
Oh,
big,
wow.
big guy.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Not Andre the Giant big, but just muscular, you know.
That joker can pick up a car single-handedly.
I don't know what happened. There's some kind of fallout that happened between he and Vince McMahon. I know you know who Vince McMahon.
Yeah, oh
is.
yeah, definitely no Vince McMahon.
So
Like
they've
drama.
replaced him with Finn Balor. I'm okay with this. I'll tell you why, Jeremy. Remember when Balor won the Universal belt and
Yes.
got hurt and has never had another shot at it?
Yep.
Here you go. Plus, God knows, somebody take the belt off of Brock Lesnar.
Oh, Brock Lesnar's the champ. I did
Still
not know
got
that.
it.
I did not know
Doesn't
that.
need it. Doesn't show
I know
up.
Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, because Roman Reigns, a lot of people know Roman Reigns. He's going through his little treatment with leukemia, and that's why he's out.
Okay.
Yeah, he had to drop the belt, and they gave it to Brock again.
Brock.
All right, let's move forward. Let's talk about the Panthers. Let's talk about David Tepper. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Panthers owner David Tepper suggested that Cam Newton should sit out the rest of next year to heal up.
I can say this one. I'm a Panther fan. I love it. They need to because you can work with Kyle Allen and probably work with Kyle Allen and get a low-key free agent quarterback to pretty much go through next season, find out what you can work with, and bring Cam back, see what he can do.
This surprises me that you said that.
Because my thing is, this is me personally, and I think Coach Rivera knew this. You playing with a hurt shoulder and don't tell nobody, and that put your job in jeopardy and Cam's.
Yeah. All right. What do you think, Brand?
I love it for the simple fact that it was clear that Cam Newton was not himself this year.
No.
It was clear, and you only have to look as far as Andrew Luck
Exactly.
to see what the
He
time off
essentially sat out.
can do for your shoulder. I mean, Cam Newton is still young.
Yes.
He's still got good years left. But if he's not physically able to do the job next year, they need to let him sit and redshirt him, or what I know they don't call it that in the NFL.
Same thing.
Redshirt.
But they need to redshirt him and let him heal and come back to be Cam.
I like the idea of this
Uh-huh.
at least to make sure that he's healthy, take a year off. I'm not sure. You surprised me. I feel like the majority of Panthers fans would not like this.
Oh no, because he's a great player
And he sells tickets,
He's the
too.
franchise. I mean, he is a beast.
Yeah.
When healthy.
And I think, and I've said this again, Jeremy, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, he needed to stop running as much. Perhaps, and there was a shoulder injury, right? I don't know that necessarily
Yeah, it
one
was
has to do with the other. But still, he's at the point now where he's got to make a decision to stop running as much because in the NFL, everybody's as fast as you are, and they're looking to put a licking on you.
And yeah, I agree. It's time. He's already way got the record for NFL rushing touchdowns by a quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh, does he?
And so he's I mean, just step back,
Yeah.
take the year off, come back, be Cam, and I really think he's got a lot of juice left.
Maybe they can give Colin Kaepernick a ring for a year.
Yeah, they signed Ed Reed.
Why not, right?
They signed Ed Reed. I don't see why they get.
All right, so let's move forward. There is a group of students, I don't know if you guys heard about this, that have built a Lego mural that turns from Tom Brady into Bill Belichick. Very cool thing. Love it or hate it.
Love it. That's funny.
Love it, I guess.
I love it too. It's Legos. Now
Cool.
I'm not a Brady Belichick
Yeah,
fan, but it's
but
still
that's pretty cool.
Still pretty cool.
Yeah.
Talking about the Pats, I don't know if you guys know about this, but love it or hate it, Deflategate referee is officiating the Pats Chiefs game.
No.
Yes.
Hate it.
Hate it.
They
Golly.
better have every single.
Golly.
The fans
Did
better watch it.
Did Tom Brady text him and tell him he had a job?
I don't know.
How much they paid him?
Actually, you guys, there's Pats fans that don't like this because this is the guy, the ref, I guess, that realized that the balls were deflated.
So he's the one that tried to intervene.
He's the whistleblower
Okay.
ref.
Oh,
Not any of the
Oh.
ones that they said perhaps tried to cover it up or whatever.
Oh, okay. Well, then that changes my answer.
That's what I was thinking. I was
Yeah,
thinking y'all's answers.
Yeah,
That didn't sound like
that
what I thought it
changes
would
my
be.
answer to
yeah,
love.
you said deflate. You said deflate balls.
Deflategate ref. Moving forward, one more for the NFL here. Chiefs offensive lineman, their Chiefs guard Jeff Allen gave tickets to a fan that helped get his
saw
car
that story. I
unstuck.
saw that.
Love it or hate it.
Love it.
Love it. Great story. So, he had to track the guy down because he didn't get his name. He had to track
Yeah.
him down on social media and found the guy. And his name was Dave. And he tweeted out that a bunch of guys claiming to be Dave tried to claim
Of
his
course.
tickets.
Why not? It's worth a try, right? I love
Great.
stuff like
Yeah,
this.
great story.
Great story. If I'm Jeff Allen, he was probably hoping that this would have just been under the rug
Yeah.
kind of thing. I'm not sure if he said anything or the guy
Yeah.
probably is what brought
Yeah.
it to the media's attention. But one more here three more. The Harlem Globetrotters, which I don't know if you guys like them.
I love them.
I've loved the Globetrotters since I was a little kid.
Oh yeah.
They are offering free tickets to furloughed workers for the federal government. Love it or hate it.
Love it.
Love it.
What a great gesture. I love it.
Yeah.
I've seen the Globetrotters twice with my son. Love it. Great show.
Yeah, me too. I saw them once when I was a kid, and what's his name?
Lark Lemon. Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
Came over to me, took off his wristbands and his headband, and gave it to me.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And I've still got him to this day in a bag.
That's so awesome. I used to
Love
watch the Globetrotters on the TV with my granddad.
And one of these days, the Generals will win, right?
That's right.
Maybe. Speaking of Washington teams, Trump and the White House served fast food for Clemson's national championship
I'll let
visit.
you go first.
Love it or hate it.
I love it. I know he's getting bashed, but I love it. Okay, college football players love fast food.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
All right, love it or hate it.
I kind of for me, I love it because it's fast food. I love Wendy's. I love McDonald's as the next person. But I hate it because I want me some steak and potatoes.
I'm going to say love it. And if you watch me on here, listen to me on the radio, you know I'm not the biggest Trump fan. But first of all, supposedly he paid for this on his own dime.
Yeah.
So
I heard
that's
that.
kudos
Yeah.
number one. Number two, these kids, and they are kids,
Yeah.
Yes.
have been playing football for the last 9 months, training every day, eating right. Let them splurge
Blow
on
it out
McDonald's.
one
Let
day.
shit on their diets one night.
I'll have me a Big Mac.
However, with all that being said, I was lucky enough to be able to interview Sean Pollard, who actually went to the White House and took part in this. And he said, I'm not a big fast food fan. I don't eat fast food, but it was there and I was hungry. And I said,
right.
I said, perfect answer.
That's right.
That part.
And then finally, guys, our last one for Love It or Hate It. There is this new thing starting now called Signing Day. Doesn't sound new, but a new idea where it recognizes high school seniors for starting jobs instead of going to play football or basketball. So basically what it is, the three of us are getting ready to start at Inviva.
Uh-huh.
Well, we sit down at this desk, we put on an Inviva hat, and we have a signing day. Love it or hate it.
It's different.
Yeah.
But I like it, I guess. I think it's different. I mean, because the NCAA runs a great commercial where it says all these athletes go pro in something else.
Yeah. And they basically taken that and gone to the next
That's
level.
right. So that's pretty cool.
All right.
A pretty cool take on that.
I gotta like it.
I'm going to say love it too. Again, it's different. And in this day and age of social media, anything somebody can put on video and put online,
That's right.
they're on it.
That's
So,
right.
all right, guys, that's going to do it for Love It or Hate It, which means that's also going to do it for this week's edition of the Ross Rundown. Appreciate everybody tuning in across all of the Richmond Observer platforms, which are, of course, free of charge. Brandon Fall, Jeremy McKenzie, I am Matt Harrelson. We'll see you right back here next week, hopefully with my full voice on the Ross Rundown.